You are listening to the Model Train Talk podcast. Each episode, RJ and I discuss various topics about the world's greatest hobby, model trains. The purpose of this podcast is to help promote, inspire, and bring a breath of fresh air to the hobby. Recording the podcast makes it possible to share stories of others and to help grow the model train community. Thank you for listening to the Model Train Talk podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the Model Train Talk podcast. Today we are going to be talking about everything Christmas and trains. So today we have Steve, Matt, RJ, and Sid. How are y'all doing today?
Doing good.
Good. How are you?
Good, Slim.
Good. I'm glad we're all together and we're able to talk trains. I feel like we've been all so busy and now we get to sit down and talk about Christmas and trains. So I'm going to shoot the question to the group out here. What is your favorite memory involving Christmas and trains, and why was it significant to you? Anyone can go first. Shoot your gun.
I had to think about it for a second.
Okay.
Yeah. I
This
think
is a
I
tough
can.
question.
I can start. So, probably one of my best memories with trains and Christmas was, I came downstairs. I was probably around 7 or 8 years old. It was like one of my second Christmas. It was like after I got my first train set. I came downstairs and at the time I was like really into New York Central. I still am, but I was really into New York Central stuff at the time. And I had been begging for this one Lionel gondola that was a New York Central gondola. And I come downstairs to find 20 of them from Santa Claus. I asked for one and I got 20. And the quantity just blew me away. It was just out of this world. And then a couple months later, I think, my dad bought me a Hudson to pull them, which was just amazing. So just the quantity itself for being a 7 or 8 year old to get that much stuff in one at one time was just amazing. That's probably one of my best memories with trains and Christmas. And I have more. It's always just trains in general, and Christmas is just amazing. It's the one time of the year where trained people are, I guess, considered nerdy or whatever you want to call it most of the time. But when it comes to Christmas, everyone embraces it, and it's just part of Christmas. Seeing a train under a Christmas tree is just it's a normal thing. It just becomes normal, and it's just the spirit. That's what it's about for me and many others.
So I guess with me, particularly when it comes to Christmas, it doesn't necessarily have to do with myself, because I had an experience with the Nassau Lionel operating engineers, who I guess at this point we're all very familiar with on this show. In particularly, this was my first or second year at being a member of the club, and it was my first Christmas show, which is very popular around Long Island. It's probably one of our biggest shows, if not our biggest show. We do the first 2 weekends of December every single year since the club's been chartered. And what we did, we had an email from a mother contact us saying that her son, absolutely, loves trains, is really excited to see our show for the first time in person, because the boy seen our videos on YouTube. And particularly his favorite train is the Southern Pacific Daylight. So we got a wide email from our club president saying who has a premier daylight that we can bring down to the show. So we luckily had a member who had a premier set, a full engine and 7 passenger cars, brings it down onto the layout, before the child came down. He came down like we got word, like it was all over our radios, like the kid was here. And I happened to be in the tower at the time. I had the pleasure and privilege to pull the locomotive out of the station. And the second that the kid saw it come around the bend, it was the most beautiful. I get choked up every time I talk about it. Seeing his smile, it's the magic of trains and Christmas that just makes this time of year so special, and why I love being in this hobby so much. It was pure joy just hearing that whistle come down and blowing it loud and proud for him, and him just being overjoyed, pointing at it, saying that that's it. It was something I'll never forget. It's truly something. It's just something about trains and Christmas that just really will stand the test of time.
It's a very touching story.
Yeah. That's perfect. The daylight's a perfect engine. The color scheme of that, and that's a perfect engine for a young person to like. It's very vibrant. It's as iconic in my mind as the Santa Fe F3. It's just that it's very vibrant. And
you ruined my story, Sid.
Oh no, you spoiled it.
All right, well, I guess I'll talk about my story now. Thanks for the segue, Sid. So I've talked about this many times on the show, but my first train set, Santa brought me when I was in kindergarten or first grade, and I watched the TMB I Love Toy Trains series, parts 1 through 6 religiously. When I was younger, if I wasn't watching Thomas the Tank Engine, I was watching that. And I've probably worn out those VHS tapes over the years. But the one engine that always stuck out to me time and time again was the Lionel Postwar F3 set. And just the colors, the lights shining off of the aluminum body of the passenger cars. I just fell in love with the set. And that year for Christmas, I asked Santa to bring me that Lionel Santa Fe F3 set. Well, as we know, the original Postwar set cost a lot of money. And at the time, Lionel wasn't producing a Santa Fe F3 starter set. So Santa brought me the MTH Rail King Santa Fe F3 starter set. And I plan on doing a video on it at the time we're recording this. If this is recorded on Christmas Day or afterwards, it should already be up on my channel of me running that first set, running it and talking about it a little bit more in depth, because there's a whole nother story behind it. I actually ended up trashing the locomotive, and I recently picked up a replacement locomotive for it. But I think almost every year I've been alive, even before I was collecting electric trains, there was always a train underneath the Christmas tree. I'd set up the Thomas Wooden Railway around the bottom of the Christmas tree, and I'd get something, Thomas Wooden Railway related for Christmas. So trains and Christmas for me, goes back to the beginning.
It's a beautiful story and a great segue into your video, RJ. All right, Steve, what do you have for us?
Okay. Well, Santa Fe, my brother had that. So, of course, I had to acquire one later in life. The Daylight, I had that set. That was a gift from my wife to me. I still have the passenger cars, and I have the F3s to go with it. I also have the Black Widow in the diesel to pull it as well. But every Christmas, there was always that 1 or 2 boxes that were orange under the tree and whatnot. They were always special. And I think the guys have got to know that through the years, my family has supported this hobby, and my collection just continues to grow. So, but Christmas always meant you were going to get something Lionel. We didn't run it under the tree. We would take it downstairs to the layout and run it on the layout. It was a post-war layout, so of course that's the new layout I'm building. I wanted to bring back some of those memories and whatnot. Yeah, a lot of good memories around Lionel trains growing up. And then my nephews and whatnot, they got to see the trains here, and we did a lot together. Always the trip into New York City to see the display in New York City, the trains. So a lot of good memories, whatnot.
That's awesome. That's really cool to hear. I can't imagine, back in the day when, did you happen to ever visit I think it was like a couple Lionel stores in New York City at the time when Lionel was stationed there or
Oh, the Madison Hardware?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I never got to Madison Hardware, although I have some boxes, some trains that still, have their original boxes, Madison Hardware. Through the years, I've acquired a lot of sets from different individuals and whatnot, most of them needing a lot of tender, loving care, but it's fun bringing them back to life and running them and whatnot. So
I'm sure. Yeah. That would be, yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
so
Yeah. So I guess I'll go ahead and I'll share my side of the story. Mainly for me, it was getting my grandfather's trains out from the basement in their boxes. I mean, again, I said it before, I really liked the TM Books and Video and Thomas the Trains. And so this was like another level up. And so every year I would remember, setting up the tubular track and, running the trains and being eye level with the trains. And then once I ended up starting collecting more, we didn't really put a loop up the track anymore because I had a layout up here. So it was like, why would I need to do one down there if I have one up here? So, I still have I actually have a Christmas tree in my room that I decorate with train ornaments and stuff like the Hallmark Train ornaments and whatnot, which is cool for me. It helps bring that back a little bit as a kid when I would run the trains under the tree. But I actually made a layout last year. I did like I think it's the Department 56 village buildings or whatnot. And I put a white cloth down and like a loop of track. That was pretty cool. But yeah, since I wasn't home this year much at all. They beat me to decorating. So,
So
it's all right. Go ahead.
So my mom has a quite large Department 56 Snow Village collection. And so that goes underneath the tree every year. But this year, under the tree, what we did is that we dedicated it to first responders. So we put like a grocery store, a firehouse, a hospital, and a police station under the tree. And I've got just it's half a loop of tubular track with my 2025 pulling a couple of fire department related freight cars.
That's pretty cool.
And then on a separate display, because we can't fit everything under the tree, we've got a whole bunch of other buildings along with the Department 56 Lionel Trains building, which is an awesome building. And then I've got the Postwar rectifier along with a couple of Postwar freight cars in front of that as well. So
I'm sure that's a very nostalgic layout. If one were to view it, it probably brings back memories of the good old post-war days when post-war and Christmas went together. I think the Department 56 village buildings go really well together with trains.
They
they're not exactly to scale and proportion, but there's just something about it that just it goes so well.
Yeah.
My grandfather had a old layout back in the day when these engines up here, these 2343s up here are actually from Madison Hardware. My grandfather bought them brand new when they first released. When these used to run in his possession, he used to have a big L-shaped layout in his basement. Unfortunately, there's no photos that were saved as far as I know. We haven't dug them up. I'm sure maybe in the future we will. If I ever do, I'll let you guys know. But my grandfather used to be really big into trains, like really big. And I guess that's where my obsession for trains came from. He used to do Department 56 buildings. He had 3 main lines, and he had a tiny tree, so he can put 3 giant loops of track under the tree. My mother had fond memories of seeing them run back in the day when she was a child, and I'm with you on that. I think Department 56 and old post-war Lionel trains just works really, really well. Like it's something. It wasn't intentional for Department 56 to make their buildings kind of in scale with Lionel trains, but in a weird way, they kind of work. And it's really cool. It's always cool to see that with the white snow on the ground and everything and all the candle lights and everything. It's another cool part of Christmas I always look forward to seeing.
So, fun fact: back in the '90s, Lionel actually had a deal with Department 56 where they made Department 56 branded train sets and freight cars and the whole 9 yards.
That's cool. I didn't know about that.
I didn't know about that either. Yeah, it's
No.
a cool little factoid right there.
Yeah, they've
Got a lot of useless knowledge up here.
So
Yeah.
they've partnered with quite a few major corporations. Hallmark, of course,
Yeah.
Disney saved them quite a few times.
Polar Express saved them too.
Oh yeah. That's
Warner Brothers.
that was what my Polar Express was my second set. I got the OG '04 model. I think my dad bought it from my local store. It was like a couple years old at that point, but yeah, that saved them. And yeah, Disney.
I think that I'm gonna have to. I'm probably gonna have to purchase a Polar Express sometime in the next year.
I don't have it either.
Me too.
Just because I love the movie so much, and I'll get it like in July when it's like at its lowest prices because nobody's buying the Polar Express in July. But it's added to the watch list of things that I need to look at purchasing.
It's a cool set. I think I have the original 3-car set, and I don't know, three add-on cars, like the one with the guy that flips around, the hobo car, and I think the hot chocolate car, and then I think one other, I can't remember which car it is, but yeah.
It's really funny we bring up the Polar Express because there's always been this dream of mine to one day. I know the funny thing, I say it's funny because if you go on eBay right now, the legacy version of this set goes for obscene prices right now. Like we talked about it a while ago in our group chat. There was one on eBay for $10,000.
Wow.
And I don't understand how it will ever go that high. I find it's a dream of mine to eventually own the full scale Pure Marquette 1225 with the Polar Express tender and the scale heavyweight cars with the correct observation, the really long rounded observation deck. It's a beautiful set. The whistle on that thing is exactly from the movie. It's a perfect train. But I think I'm going to have to settle for the Lion Chief set. And that's not a bad thing because the newer Lion Chief set that they just released this year has some of the legacy sounds in it. But, like, obviously a little dumbed down for kids. It's not like crazy. You can't quill the whistle or anything like that. But the chuffing sounds like it's from the legacy Berkshire, and the whistle's in there. And it's a really cool set nonetheless. Like, it's always been, like, that one set. Like, gosh, do I really need it? Like, I kind of need it.
So I released a video at the point where this is being uploaded, but you guys haven't seen it yet because I haven't released it yet at the time we're recording this. But I did like a small little wish list of things that I'd like to see from Lionel in 2021. And one of the things I'd like to see is a return of the scale legacy Berkshires. Because if you guys had to guess, when was the last time Lionel did a full-scale Legacy Berkshire?
It was, I think, 2017.
I'm gonna go even sooner, or a little earlier than that. I think the last run they did was 2015.
2014.
Are you talking about the Père Marquette, or are you talking about
Pierre Marquette Polar Express?
Oh yeah. That was a while ago. In 2017, they did the I call it the Mars Light 765.
They did. That's right.
On it.
Yep.
But yeah, that's when they did the gold Polar Express as well. And then in 2015, they did the chrome silver plated Berkshire for the 115th anniversary. But it's been a while, and there's actually a Polar Express up on eBay right now because I was doing some research for it, and it's like a full scale bidding war with actual bidders. And it's at $3,300 last time I checked. So the demand is there. I mean, Lionel can do something about it. I feel bad about the guy who's going to pay $3,300 for a locomotive, and Lionel comes out with a newer one with, whistle steam and the whole 9 yards in 2 months. But
yeah, that engine is, people want that again. And it's I've said this to some people. The Berkshire is probably Lionel's best scale locomotive. It is just
I
a
agree.
solid engine, especially the sounds. Um, Back when they first brought out the first legacy run in 2008ish, those engines were just solid runners, amazing sounds, and ever since then, 765 has probably been one of the best sellers of those engines.
To me, the legacy sounds in it are probably the best in O scale. Probably some of the best sounds you're going to find in model railroading. The 765 whistle was actually, Lionel went out to record the real 765's whistle. That's why it sounds so crisp. When you get to quill that thing, like, you don't want to stop. It's an amazing sounding locomotive. It's, to me, that if there's one scale engine I'm willing to pay a lot of money for, that's probably it. That or a number 90 if you're listening, Lionel.
All right, and the one last thing about this Berkshire topic, the one good thing about a black steam locomotive is that Lionel can't mess up the paint on the locomotive.
Yeah.
Come at me,
Yeah.
Lionel. Do something about it.
They can mess up the passenger cars, though. They
It's
messed
all
up
right.
the RPO car, but
I
yeah,
won't-
messed up black.
I don't intend on ever being as big as Eric and being sponsored by Lionel, but so Sam, did you have any other Christmas questions for us? We started with trains around the Christmas tree, and we ended up on 765. So you want to steer us back?
Interesting conversation as of now, but I can't really contribute anything because I don't even have a Polar Express set.
Neither
Fun
do
fact,
I don't either.
Fun fact though, as a little kid, I was scared of the movie. Like, I watched
Wow.
the movie.
What was scary about the Polar
Animation is
Express?
creepy.
I can understand where you're coming from. I wasn't scared myself, but I can understand being scared of
I don't
some of
know,
it.
something about the I think it was the observation car with all like the old toys
Oh,
and
I
whatnot.
know what you're talking about.
The abandoned toy car.
The
that
Yeah.
puppets
well with
hanging
that.
from
That
the
was
ceiling.
creepy.
Yeah, that was a little out there. I will agree with
But
you.
other than that, it was a good movie. I liked it. It was just that
Yeah.
part was like, I was like, oh, as a little kid, I was like,
You have to give
not, yeah.
you have to give Tom Hanks major props for that movie. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
I love Tom Hanks because he's just my favorite actor by far. But he
Yeah.
does like 90% of the voices
Yes.
in that movie,
Mhm.
Yep.
It
which was done intentionally. But
yeah. That was an amazing movie. I also look at things. I analyze things a lot, and I just always love the fact that from one scene it goes from like 6 cars, then it goes to 20 cars, then it
Car.
goes to
5 car. It's when
Cars,
it's
yep.
sitting at the North Pole. It's 5
it's all over
cars.
the place.
It's so
just
weird.
funny.
It's weird what they do with the cars. There's no right or wrong. I see guys on the OGR forum with their Polar Express sets, and they got like 15 cars long.
Yeah.
I've seen some of those layouts, those like Christmas display layouts where they'll have like the tunnel, like the disappearing tunnel effect where
Yes.
it like goes in and then it like does like a spiral under and then it like comes back out. I think that's really cool.
There's somebody I've seen online. I think it's still on YouTube if you look it up. Some guy made a full replica of the movie. He made the spiral mountain.
You
Where the
make the
engine
cars
goes up the
curve as
spiral.
it goes around.
Right.
Yeah, some guy made that, which I find very fascinating because you don't see helixes in O scale all that much. Maybe in HO scale you see it a bunch, but in O scale you rarely see it.
Yeah. That was really cool. TW Design, if you call them, you can ask them to build you a Polar Express layout. That's like one of their, or
Yes.
a couple years ago, that was like one of their main layouts with the, I remember the thing I loved the most was the icicles hanging down from the one tunnel.
Last thing I want to mention about the Polar Express movie, it has the single most relatable line, at least for me, in any movie, and it's when the kid gets into the cab of the engine and he blows a whistle and he says that I've been wanting to do that my whole life, and it's like, I'm 20 years old and I feel the exact same way.
So relatable.
Yep.
So relatable. All right. The next topic I have today is, so Steve he mentioned earlier in the podcast that he is working on a new post-war type of layout. So Steve, you want to talk about that a little bit? I know you've had some videos up on your YouTube channel about it. So if you haven't seen those, go check those out. I'll put a couple in the description of this video. But Steve, how is the post-war layout coming along?
Uh, it's a work in progress. The track's all laid. I had all of the switches were working, and today I put one of the sidings, I powered it, and now the switch doesn't work. So I got to go inside the mountain, tear it apart. But no, it's coming along good. I'm ready. I worked on the Culvert Unloader, and I got that working. I had parts were missing. I finally found them. I mean, I got it years ago, and it got separated, the parts and whatnot. So I got it all back together. And of course, trying to tie that little cord with these fingers, but I managed. I got that, and it's working pretty good. So now it'll just be putting the switch in and getting the power line over to it, but the track's all bolted down on that segment. I have the cattle corral to work on over there. It's in place. It should, work, but, and then I've got the one other siding for the milk stand that I have to wire the unloading track and whatnot. So, but all of the lights are done. All of the crossing gates are working. The switchmen come out and whatnot. So it's coming along. It's nice to see it. And in fact, talking about the Christmas, I did a Christmas, I had two different trains, the Hallmark train and of course the Polar Express. I was running on that layout and whatnot. So that layout made it easy to put snow on, and I can remove it later. I didn't want to do that on my regular layout. That's a little more involved to get the snow up and not damage the turf and whatnot. So, but yeah, I'm very pleased with it. Most everything's operational on it at this point. In fact, tomorrow I've got two young guys coming over with their families. They want to see the layout, so it'll be nice to have all the trains. It should be, I'll have 12 different loops running at the same time, so.
That'll be exciting. I'm sure that's a lot of action down there.
Oh yeah, because you figure there's 4 on the new layout, and then there's 7 on the old and the ceiling loop. So yeah, 8.
Go.
12.
Trains everywhere.
Yep. And another idea I've been toying with is putting the camera up on the upper loop and doing a fly around of the major layout from the upper loop. I want to see how that'll come out, but it'll give a different perspective on the layout. So
definitely, yeah, that'll be cool.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, definitely. Like you mentioned, the post-war accessories. Obviously, the post-war milk stand is my favorite, but my grandfather actually has the cattle corral one where it like shakes and the cows move along like the little track and they go in.
Right.
Yeah, I don't have the correct track piece for it to make it work, but I'm thinking about getting another piece like that and seeing if I can get that to work again. But I obviously don't have room on the layout, but I want to make sure I can get it working again and making sure all the parts run and stuff like that.
Yeah, because it's just a regular track, and the stand itself has the 2 pieces that come up between the tubular track and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
isn't there pins under the cattle car though that like help the cows to go along on the car itself? It's been a long time since I've gotten it out.
Yeah, the stand is a tin stand just like the milk car, but unlike the milk car stand, it has the electrical tabs built into the stand.
right.
So you can just use a regular piece of straight track to activate it. All you have to do is have a controller to activate it or transform it.
Okay, so isn't there like so you have like the piece that the sled runs underneath the truck on the car, Isn't there a metal piece that you slip in? And there's one that's for O gauge track, like the one I have on my layout, and there's a smaller one for O27, right?
I think they might have done that at some point. There's so many variations of stuff during the post-war era.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's how you set them on.
Yeah.
You flip it over for O27 and O gauge is the other way, I believe.
Okay.
It might be that.
I'll look into it more. It's been a long time since I've gotten it out, but yeah, I'll definitely.
So-
I have parts if you need, because I have a couple of them. So
Yeah.
But
So
I have
also
go ahead.
interesting talking about this cattle stand and the milk car. Lionel actually just came out with, it was in their 2020 volume 1 catalog, but they just released it. It is a like O scale, like 1/48th scale box car painted up like the milk car, like the post-war milk car, and it operates too, and it comes with the milk stand and the whole 9 yards. So it's nice little way Lionel paying tribute to their O27 line for those 1/48 guys out there.
That reminds me of the scale turbine they painted up with Lionel lines. I remember them doing that. But Sam, you were going to say something.
Imagine having that one next to the original.
yeah,
Sam, you can make that happen.
That's a cool shot.
Yeah,
The size difference.
yeah. I actually have the ornament of the milk car, and I put it to the actual milk car that I have on the layout. And that was weird. So imagine having 1, 2, and then like 3. Like big one.
well, they also issued a box car, and it had the doors. It didn't have the mechanism inside, but it was use of the same parts and whatnot. Because I have that as well,
Interesting.
sitting down there. So
Am I the only one who wants to see them bring back the exploding boxcar?
I've got a couple of those.
I got
My idea is they've been doing a lot of these fun cars with fun sound effects in them.
Right.
So I wonder if they could do like not necessarily a vision line car, but a car where the car has a mechanism where you push the legacy on the legacy remote, you can activate a mechanism that will make the thing blow up by itself and have like a sound effect or something like that. I always find it cool. Like there is a few like post-war cars that we haven't seen in the modern day in a long time. The one I always wanted to see back, I don't know if Steve, you might remember it. When they did the military stuff, they had a car that basically had like these little fans in them where you can have the balloons for the target practice.
Right.
That's probably one of the few cars that hasn't made a return in what seems like forever.
They did one 10 years ago, I want to say. 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, I have the remake. It's actually my brother's. He has some stuff, and that's one of the items when I didn't have mountains on my older layout, I would run it around and I loved watching the balloon run around and just stay above the car.
Yeah.
And the cool part about the Postwar one was it used batteries. You opened it up and you put batteries on the inside, and unlike the newer one, which used track power.
So do any of you have any closing thoughts before we end the episode today?
I guess I want to just mention it real fast.
Yeah, sure. Go right ahead.
It's something that, might appease to a few guys out there listening to the show. Recently, over the last couple weeks, RJ's shown it off. Sid's wearing one right now. I started a t-shirt company for basically all railroad apparel. Oh my God, Steve! I did not know you were the one who bought that shirt. Oh my God, that looks amazing. That makes this all the better.
Wow, that's
a great shirt. I saw that got sold on my site, but it doesn't tell me who buys it. That's an amazing shirt, actually. That looks great. I started the company not too long ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, and I decided I wanted to make some different designs for railroaders out there, because I go to railroad shows all the time and I see the same old shirts. It's NS shirts, it's Pennsylvania shirts, it's all these railroads that you see all the time. So I wanted to make a site that has basically, you name a railroad, I'm gonna have something for it. I have Ontario and Western, I have Sid's wearing the Crusader, I have a bunch of Long Island stuff that you just don't see other people make. I got everything you can make, from shirts to long sleeves to hoodies. I have clothing for girls, toddlers, young kids. I basically making it a site by a passionate railroader for a passionate railroader. So I definitely want to stress that out there. If you guys are interested, it's Matty C Trains on Teespring. I'm doing a special promo code for all the Model Train Talk podcast listeners and viewers. I'm doing a special 25% off sale before Christmas. So from when this goes live, the sale will still be live on Christmas Day. I'm going to have it at least till December 26th, December 27th. If you go to checkout, you use promo code MTTPOD, and you'll get 25% off anything off my site. So I definitely appreciate all the guys out there who have purchased from me so far. Obviously, the quality is terrific. It's better than what I was expecting, and I really hope everyone out there can enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to mine. I ended up ordering a Blue Comet logo sweatshirt, so that'll be really cool. But yeah.
So I got an NNW long sleeve T-shirt, and I need to place an order for a couple other things on your store that I like. But rest assured, I ordered before Matt figured out how to do promo codes. So
I'm sorry, buddy. Look,
Yeah,
look, that promo code applies to the guys on this very
he couldn't
show,
tell
too.
us of the promo code before he.
Listen, the code's good for all of you in this room right now. So after this goes live, the code will be up, so you get a discount.
There we go.
It's all good.
Yeah, but thank you, Matt, and I thank everyone for coming on the podcast tonight. This has been another episode of the Model Train Talk podcast, and we will see you guys in the next episode.